Hello, welcome back. We are continuing our AEW coverage with Rampage from May 26th, 2023. And we've got a few big matches here. We start off the night with the Acclaimed, Anthony Bowens and Max Caster, with Billy Gunn, a.k.a. Daddy Ass, which I don't understand, versus Roosh, Dralistico, and Preston Vance. The name of their stable eludes me, and pretty much like Preston Vance did this entire match, he was not involved in the least bit. But it was a good match, some solid back and forth. Roosh is severely underutilized. Max Caster hit the elbow drop on Dralistico for the win. Acclaimed hit a good promo to plug the pay-per-view as they are going into the buy-in match at the beginning of the show. Overall, the match was just okay. Not enough shine for the heels to put the match over, and I don't remember, as I said, Preston Vance being involved at all. Second match, Ethan Page and the Guns versus Local Talent. I didn't even catch the three guys' names that were jobbing to Page and the Guns, but it was irrelevant. They destroyed these three, hit a nice three-way finisher on one of them for the win. And Page cut a promo, on the Hardys, who came out in response, and then Isaiah Cassidy came out to name his replacement, and of course, what do you say there, Michael Cole? Hey, it's my boy Hook, Taz's son Hook, who looks like he should be getting back to the, high school for his sophomore English class. Then you had a promo from Keith Lee and Dustin Rhodes as they'll be involved in the Blackjack Battle Royal involving Orange Cassidy's international title at Double or Nothing. Next match up on the card, Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir versus Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida. Nyla, whatever you want to call it, I worked shows for a couple years with, and nothing is impressive or stands out about this person and their work at all. Nothing. There's only one thing that sets them apart, and that's the fact that it's a guy wrestling in the women's division. Marina Shafir is, I've got thoughts. We'll get to that later on in my final thoughts on the match and then overall on the show. Shafir was Shida and Britt's well-built punching bag for most of the match. She got little to no offense. Brandon took a spill over the top. Shafir went back and forth with Baker, reversed a finish attempt, and got kicked in the head and was out, just literally out. But Britt still locked in her finisher to an unconscious Shafir, and it was a fucking joke. They just beat the hell out of Marina Shafir this entire match, and I have a issue with this, and it dates back all the way to like LPWA, Terry Power being just a monster. Like she was a bodybuilder, right? But she could actually wrestle. Shafir, martial artist, very well built, can legit fight, doesn't translate well into wrestling. She needs more training. She's with Roderick Strong. I'm shocked that she's not better in the ring than she is. I really want her to get better because she looks like a worker. She just needs that polish like Jade Cargill, but we'll talk about her in the pay-per-view review. Next up, we had a promo spot, backstage segment. Tony Storm took out Jamie Hayter. So this shoulder injury of Hayter's is legit. And this right here told us everything we needed to know about what was going to happen at Double or Nothing, which I watched last night, and as of this recording, I'm getting ready to record my thoughts and review of that afterwards. But it's a shame that Hayter hasn't had a better title reign. It's been marred by non-existence and injuries nagging her, which have really prevented her from being a fighting champion. I'm sure she wants to be on television, but just can't do it because of these injuries, which it sucks because she seems like she works very hard, and I really wanted to see her do well. Next matchup, Lee Moriarty and Big Bill versus Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, the best friends. Lee Moriarty is someone who I've kind of come around to. Now, he kind of has a generic look to him, but if you really get into the weeds of it, guy is a talented worker. Yes, his image could use a little bit of an update and a freshening up, but solid work. So the match had a lot of back and forth. Beretta and Taylor got way too much shine on Big Bill, and the booking makes him look increasingly weak at the expense of his credibility to much physically less imposing opponents, which does him no favors. The Best Friends hit a big double suplex off the top rope. Nice spot. I always appreciate those spots. It's kind of used to be considered like a big spot, but now everything considered with what these guys are doing with their flippy shit, not really a big spot, but it always looks impressive when a big man like Bill goes off the top like that. Let's see. So that was leading into the finish. Big Bill choke slamming Chuck Taylor after he hit a pile driver on Moriarty, and that sealed the win. Big Bill got a clean win. I was pleasantly surprised to see him get a clean W, which we don't really see him get. And then a huge schmoz ensued after the match with pretty much most of the combatants for the Blackjack Battle Royal at the pay-per-view that took place at Double or Nothing. So that was the main event for the show. Like I said, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches. Well, 4 and a squash, Ethan Page and the Guns just squashed the local talent. But my takeaways from this are Big Bill needs to be a monster. This man is a physical beast, and they book him. I go back to the match with Orange Cassidy a couple weeks ago. Orange Cassidy basically squashed Big Bill. Bill got no offense on, and Cassidy's going over on him with his hands in his pockets, and he weighs 160 pounds. And Bill could literally flick him in the head and probably break his neck. But then Cassidy works Bandito, and he's struggling. He can't beat him. Oh, he's getting beat up. It's like, are you kidding me? You're doing this at the expense of one of your monsters. And this is what Tony Khan does. Butcher and the Blade, they're big guys. They're just big jobbers. You've got Powerhouse Hobbs. What the hell? This guy's a main eventer. What are you doing with him? Wardlow should be in a main event. He's feuding with Christian Cage. That makes no sense. Tony Khan has issues with this booking. My next issue is Marina Shafir needs a lot of work to integrate her MMA and pro wrestling and distance herself from Nyla Rose to actually be taken seriously, and I hope she does, because I like Marina Shafir. I really do. I've always been a fan of the more athletic looking to muscular females in the wrestling, especially when they're legitimate athletes and they can work. I know Marina Shafir has it in her. Like I said, she's with Roderick Strong. I'm shocked that those two aren't working more together. I would want, if I was him, I would want to help her improve, because I think if she does, she could have a nice mid-card, future if she distances herself from Nyla Rose, who's just a sinking ship. Roosh needs more shine. It's got to be noted that Roosh beat the hell out of Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Beat the hell out of him, which I'm not for taking liberties as somebody who's been in the ring, but as much of an asshole as Perry has proved himself to be with the convention incident, as a babyface and a top babyface at that, you cannot treat fans poorly in a public convention scene in the age where everyone has a fucking camera phone and wants their fucking video to go viral. You cannot do that. So Perry had those potatoes coming to him, in my opinion. Roosh knew he had to put that joker over, so he took a few liberties, and I'm oddly all right with that in this situation. Final thoughts on the show. It was a decent go-home show leading into the pay-per-view. You've got an injured Jamie Hayter going in versus Tony Storm, who was the interim champ and rightly deserves to win the belt back and have a legitimate run with it. But this is the problem, is it's kind of detracting from Jamie Hayter at the time, and it makes Tony look a little bit weak because they're taking the belt off somebody who can barely defend it and putting it on Tony again, thusly kind of raining on our parade as a champion. So you're leading in with a semi-hot show to a pay-per-view, leading into a new debuting show on Saturday night on June 17th from United Center in Chicago that will have CM Punk, or they wouldn't have announced Chicago as the opening date. Or somebody, if Punk wasn't there, somebody would have Tony Khan's head on a pike. I'm fairly certain. I'm going to be really optimistic for the pay-per-view, and this is, like I said, already having seen it, my hopes were dashed a little bit after the 4.5 hour or 5 hour pay-per-view last night. But I've enjoyed the AEW product so far. I've been watching for just a shade over a year now. Plus, they're selling a massive amount of tickets for the Wembley Stadium show. So for Khan not to deliver some home runs in Vegas will seriously hurt AEW's credibility as a brand. So that's it. That's the Rampage review. Overall, like I said, those are my thoughts on it. You can leave yours in the comments below and check back for the Double or Nothing review, which will be coming out very soon.